treat for you today. Christian Fletcher, of course, is our winner of the 2020 Art Award, and he's going to speak to us about his practice and his reasoning and whatever else comes to mind.
Wow, that's a lot of things.
Enjoy. If anyone needs to ask questions, I'm sure he's open for that too.
Yep, for sure.
So, over to Christian.
Thanks, thank you. Thanks everyone for coming along. I was a little bit taken back when I got this award, because it was, I looked around when I first walked into the gallery space and I saw these other pieces here. I said to my wife, I just walked in that very first bit of the gallery, and I said to my wife, well, there goes that, there goes that prize. Because it's always hard as a photographer to put your work in with other artists. I've entered 3 art awards, I think, in my time. And I always feel there's always been this, you're just a photographer type thing that's been going on, and it's something that photographers struggle with a lot. We all have that kind of, we feel like we're the cheats that come in and push a button and out comes a nice photo. And if you know a little bit about post-production, you can do things and make it look a little bit more interesting. So that's always been a struggle. But I'll go back to the start of how I got here and how I got into photography, because it's been 31 years this year that I've been doing it. And when I was 15, I had an incident at school, which was, I won't go into the details, but basically from that incident I got really bad anxiety, and to a point where I would try to avoid situations, try to get out of school. I hated school, managed to get through, got out of year 12, and that was it. I was never going to go back to that environment ever again. From there I went into the public service. I was working as a clerk, because my dad was a clerk. I grew up in Coolbellup, working class family. Mum worked at Coles, Dad worked in the public service, so I was just going to do what Dad did and become a clerk. So I left school, went straight to the public service, and was pushing pens for a couple of years. And the whole time I was doing that, my anxiety was still there, and I was, trying to find ways to cope with being in these sort of these situations. Anyway, long story short, I managed to extract myself from that environment and worked on other things. I've had a few different jobs, but it wasn't until I moved down south that I thought that I need to do something where I can be my own boss, where I don't have to answer to anyone. I can do what I want when I want. I was very insular. It was all about avoiding situations that were uncomfortable. Hence public speaking was one of those things. It wasn't until I was I met my wife when I was 35, 20 years ago, that she pushed me and got me out of the whole fear of public speaking, and made me realise that it's not a difficult thing to do if you're talking about who you are and honest things. So anyway, long story short, I got into photography because I thought that would be a cool thing to do. It would be fun, and I would be able to avoid situations that made me uncomfortable. I wanted to be a landscape photographer. I just wanted to take beautiful photos of the beach, the hills, the forest, whatever, and frame them and sell them in a gallery. So that was my whole intention. 6 years later, I was doing weddings, portraits, commercial work. People were telling me what to do. I was freaking out. Every time I had a wedding, I was sick. I'd spend the whole week. I would lose 10 kilos every time I did a wedding, because I would spend most of the time on the toilet. And I realised that this wasn't for me. I needed to really get back to the core business, which was taking landscape photos and selling them through a gallery. So then I started to do the markets, and it all sort of progressed from there. I got a small space at the Blue Wren. I've framed a lot of the artists' work that are in the local area. Got to see everyone's stuff. Felt like I kind of knew a few artists, but never felt like an artist myself. I always thought, well, I was just taking photos, and and stuff like that. So it's always been a bit that way. So much so that I'm actually just about to get mentored by a guy in America who's going to help me work on my creativity and deeper issues and things that will help my work progress and think of it more as a legitimate art form instead of pretty decor photos that hang in someone's house, and which I delivered one this morning. And I mean, I've been really successful with photography because I've just got in at the right time, right place with the right product, and I've got the right people around me that have helped create this business with their own gallery and all that sort of stuff, and just been really, really lucky to have that support. But going forward, I want to make more creative work. I want to make work that's more for me, less for everyone else, because you get caught up and I get the girls say, Christian, we need more Meelup Beach, we need another Busselton jetty photo, we need something of Bunker Bay, blue water, blue sky, that sells, that's what we want. And I'll just, you become like a cow getting milked every day you go to the gallery. We need this out of you, we need that out of you, and it just sort of sucks your creativity and your soul a little bit. Not that I'm saying that they try to purposely do that, but it's all about getting commercial product that we can sell and keep the dream alive, keep me out of working for somebody else. For God forbid if I ever had to go and work a real job again, I don't think I could do it. But then every now and then I take a beautiful photo that I really love, and this sort of style, this environmental piece, it sort of came about from, I love that Barlingup Nannup Road. It's just beautiful. I've spent a lot of time out there in winter with fog, and this was after the fires had gone through and burnt out a lot of the forest, and they had been cut down. So I just happened to get there on a beautiful morning where there was some really cool light. The light is there, but it's obviously been enhanced. And what I really love is that really the old masters. I love that stuff. Probably because it's photographic. It's more photographic than interpretive. It's like you can see these beautiful works of art with the most amazing light. The light, the Rembrandt's landscapes. When you look at his landscapes, they look like they've been lit with studio lights, and it's really quite photographic. So that was kind of my inspiration for this one. And I've done this sort of style before, but it doesn't often get a run in the gallery because it's not an aerial photograph of the beach, and it's not blue water and blue sky, and it's not happy, and everyone, yeah, take my money. It's like it was the perfect piece for this awards, and it's more of what I want to do going forward. So I do have two sides to what I do. There is the commercial work, and then there's my more contemporary stuff. The other stuff I do is very banal. It's like banal urban spaces, so it's very stripped back, very minimalist, simple, light, airy, kind of pastel colours and stuff like that. And this is my dark, heavy stuff. And I went through a dark period for a while there before I met my wife, and it went all light and happy again, and now it's going back to the dark side. Your relationships change, but I have to say that my wife is the one that has given me has pushed me the most and made me into the photographer I am today, or artist if you want to call it that. And her, a lot of her, what she says is so important in my mind. She always says to me, Christian, because I got caught up in detail. I mean, I bought this camera that had amazing resolution, and I could see every bit of sand and every rock and every, you could see birds in the distance, 2 kilometres away. You could see them when you zoom into the photo, and I got really caught up in the detail. And she said, Christian, it's not about the detail, it's about the emotion. And where's the emotion in these photos? So you need to bring out that emotion. And I think this piece has an emotional content, and it does say something about the land, how we use it. I mean, this is forestry land, so it's meant to be logged. But unfortunately, before they got a chance to use the wood, a lot of it got burnt, and I'm not sure if they can still use it after it's been burnt. I don't know. And so that really interests me. I care about the environment. I care about what we're leaving for our kids So a lot of the things I think about are environmentally related, and this photograph really speaks about how we treat the land, how we're degrading the land, how we're cutting down trees, adding CO2 and not doing a great deal about it. So saying that, I bought a Land Cruiser V8 Land Cruiser the other day, so now I feel really terrible about myself. So there's always these compromises that we make, and we're all hypocrites, and we can't get on our pedestal and say we've got to do this. You've got to lead by example, and that wasn't probably my best example. So we might cut that bit too. Yeah. So no one's perfect, but yeah, I was really chuffed to get the award, and thank everyone for coming. So yeah, thanks. I don't know if there's any questions, but anyone want to know the technical side of how it was done?
How early in the morning was that shot taken, or was it taken late?
It wasn't too early. It was the sun had been up for a little while, and it was like one of my last shots before I was heading home. So
how long do you stay there to take it?
I go there before the sun comes up. If it's really foggy, I'll stay until the fog sort of lifts and clears. But that would have been mid-morning, I guess, when I took that shot. But there was quite a heavy cloud, and there was some really interesting light coming through. So that's what makes the photo. The light was there, but in post, to make it more dramatic, you lighten the light areas and darken the dark areas just to create that more contrast. And there's other techniques I've done in that as well. Obviously, a lot of this darker areas, this is all in the real shot, in the original shot. It's basically quite flat, but with these highlights of light. And they were real because you can see the shadows from the trees. But when in post, I use what I call a Wacom tablet, and it allows me to draw on the photo. So you feel like more of an artist when you've got a little pen and you're drawing light and you're brushing light in and out. You're not brushing detail, you're brushing more the light. So I was going in and I was adding way more light through here, enhancing these shadow areas, putting more light on the tops of these trees, which was all there, but it's just got to be brought out, really bringing it in there, and then darkening it down on this side. So basically the same thing you would do as if you were painting a picture. You would, you've got to create that modelling and that shape. So I would love to be a painter if I ever had the time and inclination and 30 years to become good at it. But at this stage I'll stick to photography. So yeah, that's had a lot of post-production in that respect. Also, shot with a wide-angle lens. So whenever we take photographs with a wide-angle lenses, quite often you'll probably find yourselves, you go out, you take a shot, and there's this beautiful mountain range, and you take the photo, and then you look at your shots afterwards and you go, it doesn't look so grand, doesn't look like it did when I was there. And it's because wide-angle lenses have distortion. They squish everything down to the horizon. They make everything look smaller. So in post with this one, it was shot as a horizontal picture, so 2:3 ratio. And in post, I've brought the sides in to make it into a square. So it's been squished by squishing it together, it actually brings back the height, and it makes it look more closer to what you think you saw when you're there. Because we all, if you've been to the area, it's really hilly, and you're looking at, that's really amazing. So that's what's been done. So it's been squished together to bring up the height. So it's all these little visual things that you do as a photographer. Once you know what the cameras do and how they affect your photo, you can then go and make changes to make it better.
So it's not a drone, you've taken that from your opposite hills?
No, it's from a drone.
Oh, that is drone?
Yep. Yeah, there was no hill opposite that. That's basically looking, I was hovering above the river. There's a river that goes through there. There was no hill there. So I basically put the drone up, and it was just like, there it is, thank you. Right, okay, click. And took I shouldn't just say click, push the button, and my job was done, because it took 30 years to get to that point where I could push that button with this finger, because normally I was using my thumb. And not too many. I always do different angles. It's no point repeating the same thing too much. So
isn't going to be there together.
Yeah, and so it was just took different angles. So I've got something for next year's prize. It's just off to the left a little bit. It's got to win, surely. No, it's not, I was just joking about that. Yeah.